attention to the exact date. The main event is Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold, and the co-main is Tony Ferguson versus Salt Poppy. Big fight announcements from the Sheik. He said one person already signed. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul signed in the blink of an eye, ready to go. Waiting to hear back. I don't know if you guys saw the ESPYs. Shane Gillis, it was absolutely hilarious. He gets on there. He says, real quick, guys, let's shout out to one of these WNBA players. He's here in attendance. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to episode 21 of the Daily Dose Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This podcast is sponsored by Jackpack LLC, all organically grown cannabis right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as well as 1GM Construction for all your construction and roofing needs. Tap in with them. Let them know you heard them on the Daily Dose Podcast for an extra 10% off all your services. We got a ton of stuff to go over today, guys. Great fights over the weekend. Some pretty good fights coming up this weekend. Let's get right into it. I mean, the big thing was UFC 318, Dustin Poirier's last dance. Man, what a card. You know, the first 6 fights on the card were all finishes, back to back to back to back. And so, you know, once they stop being finishes, it kind of makes it a little bit harder as far as entertainment-wise. But they were all pretty good fights. There wasn't too many. So let's check it out here. Jimmy Crute had a good win. Ryan Spann had a good win. Brandon Allen and Marvin Vettori, they had a pretty good war, pretty back and forth. In my opinion, you know, Marvin Vettori's never really evolved. He's kind of always been the same fighter. We know what we're going to get from him. It's entertaining to a degree, but he's just not great anywhere. He doesn't wow you, you know, so Brendan Allen looked a little better, but nothing crazy. You get into the main card. I called both of these first 2 ones wrong. Michael Johnson looked really good. He put it on Daniel Zahuber, so sometimes these younger guys have easier fights, or they have fights where they, you know, just walk through people, and then they run into a crafty veteran where they can't do that. That's not the case, and it makes it a little different. So, you know, shout-outs to him. I'm sure he'll bounce back. Michael Johnson still doing the thing. Pretty crazy. Patricio Pitbull versus Dan Ige. Again, I thought Ige was going to get the better of him, but Patricio was controlling him. He also had some good exchanges on the feet. So, you know, maybe he's just getting more comfortable, getting into his rhythm. But it was cool to see his performance. Daniel Rodriguez, I was wrong on this one too. I mean, I really thought Kevin Holland, especially at 170, this was kind of his fight. Stand and bang, let's do our thing. You know, he got cracked. He was getting hurt. He almost got finished. And then D-Rod got cracked by Kevin Holland. And then Holland had a chance to finish him. He was on top. But it seemed like he was already too gassed at that point from all the defense, from trying to finish him. So then he let D-Rod come back and almost finish him. So it was a pretty big back and forth. I wouldn't say sloppy, but more wild. They were both landing big shots. Very entertaining. But I didn't think D-Rod was going to get it. So shout-outs to him. He looked really good. Paulo Costa, you know, he always kind of has a reason why he's a little off. He had a full camp this time. He said he was dialed. He was this. He was that. He looked good. You know, Roman Kovalev has had a lot of good fights. So shout-outs to Paulo Costa. Didn't get the finish, had the decision, but he looked pretty good. So we'll see kind of what happens next with him. And then, of course, in the main event, Max Bless Holloway versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier in his, you know, final fight, his last dance. Man, it was cool to see. Like when Dustin Poirier was walking out, Lil Wayne walked him out. You know, they always say these arenas are sold out and packed. This arena was sold out completely. Tons of support. It was great to see. Even in the pre-fight press conference, I remember a video of Dustin walking up to the podium. Every fighter's, you know, giving him daps. Fighter's fighter for sure. It was a great fight in the sense I felt like anytime Dustin had a good moment or landed a big shot, it was like, you know, this big thing. Everybody would go crazy and stuff like that. So that might have made it seem more competitive in some people's eyes. Going into the 5th round, I really did think it was like 3-1 Max Holloway. I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and watch it. But, you know, round 1 was all Max. He looked good at 55. He's had full camps. He doesn't have to deplete himself anymore. He actually got some pop in those punches. So, you know, the first round, I believe it was, he hurt Dustin. They both hurt each other in the second. The third was like a clear round for Dustin. And I really thought it was all Max after that. But what it was is like Max is still putting up volume, landing big shots. But when Poirier did something, it was a big moment. So definitely interesting. It was a great fight. Max, wins the trilogy. Dustin Poirier calls it. I don't know if it was like kind of how he does in title fights, but definitely it looked like it took him a while to get going. Like he looked a little flat. Maybe the moment was getting to him, trying to put all the emotions behind him. Max caught him, and then when he got dropped again in the second, then it looked like he kind of woke up. So man, what a great career. I've seen him live before, like I said, against Conor McGregor. Hell of a career, fought everybody, did all you could. One of the best fighters to never be complete undisputed champ, but nevertheless, he left a great legacy. So, shout outs to Dustin the Diamond Poirier. We appreciate you. Now, this weekend, we got a pretty good fight night coming up, headlined by Robert Whittaker versus Rainer de Ryder. He's coming off that big win of Bo Nickel. We got Davy Grant on there versus Damon Blackshear. We got Amanda Ribas and Tabitha Ricci. We got Omega Madoff. We got Bryce Mitchell versus Saeed Nurmagomedov. Peter Yan, Marcus McGahee, and Robert Whittaker versus Rainer de Ryder. Yeah, this is the Abu Dhabi card, free on ABC, so it'll be during the day. We're going to go with, I think Saeed Nurmagomedov is a bad matchup for Bryce Mitchell. I think especially after what he said, the UFC does stuff like this. I said this, go back. I said, if he does keep winning, they're going to give him terrible matchups because they do not like when you do stuff like that. So, Saeed Nurmagomedov, obviously he could grapple. He can strike as well, though. Bryce Mitchell's dropping down to bantamweight. I'm going with Saeed Nurmagomedov by maybe a second or third round stoppage. Now, Peter Yan versus Marcus McGahee. He trains out of the MMA lab, kind of good friends with Sugar and stuff. Good dude. I've seen several pods on him. Solid, fighter, well-rounded athlete. It's tough to see. I mean, Peter's looked really, really good of lately. This one is a true coin flip for me. I'm going to go Marcus McGahee by unanimous decision, but this is really a coin flip. Peter's looked good lately, so this is one of those ones I would see who the underdog is and go with that. Now in the main event, Robert Whittaker versus Rainer de Ryder. This is a tough one as well. I'm taking Robert Whittaker. I'm going bumpy knuckles, maybe second, third round TKO. He's still looking good. He's never looked bad, but he has some fights where he doesn't look as clean. But I think he's got this one. I'd love to see him pull it off. Excuse me. I know Rainer de Ryder's coming off that big fight with Bo Nickel. What was Robert Whittaker's last fight? Let me refresh my brain here. I'm just curious to see kind of where he's... Yeah, okay, so his last fight was with Hamza, where he got his face broken. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see. So on that note, I actually will take Rainer de Ryder, just being off the momentum and everything like that. We're not sure how he's going to do. Obviously, he didn't get knocked out cold or anything, but his teeth and stuff were pretty jacked up. So sometimes people can be a little hesitant after these big injuries. We'll see how it goes. I'll give my, underdog picks and stuff like that Friday night, and we'll go from there. Now we got a lot of current topics to go over. First things first, Evelev. Movsar Evelev pulls out against Aaron Pico. He's pulled out of more fights in the UFC than he's competed in. The UFC's got to do something like that. Aaron Pico not only spends all this money on camp and it doesn't happen, he's trying to establish his name. He's trying to get in there. And obviously, Movsar just does this all the time. So I'm curious to see. Allegedly, they're going to put it in on that Chicago card in August with Hamzat and them. So get right back in there. But yeah, definitely, that's got to suck for Pico. I mean, I saw he was upset by it, pulling out of the camp and just wasting time. So hopefully they get that situated and get him in there soon, see where he at. I'm curious to see, as far as well-rounded, he was always one of the best at Jackson's, has a great story. Great background in wrestling, boxing. Be curious to see how he looks. Excuse me. And then we also, over the past weekend, we had Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. Man, Usyk looked great. I don't know if anybody but Father Time beats him at heavyweight at 30 years old. What it is he's so crispy and fast and just clean that he gets in on these angles on these guys. And he just tees off. It takes him a little bit. Maybe he takes some shots. But once he gets in, he's popping these 3, 4, 5 punch combos that these guys don't even see. It is really, really a good, so cool to see him just do his thing. Great boxer, a little smaller, but obviously with his skills and everything makes up for it. If you haven't seen it, tune in, check him out. He really puts on great performances. Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios went to a draw. Manny had his moments in there. Barrios, he lands good shots, but he doesn't have that killer instinct. When it seems like someone is hurt, or like when Manny was hurt, he didn't go for it. He took a lot of shots from Manny. In my opinion, that 47 division is kind of weak right now. I believe the champs are Barrios, Brian Norman Jr., and Boots. Obviously, Boots is a monster, but that division's kind of quiet right now, I think that was an easier champion for Pacquiao to go after and try and be a champ, put some money in his pocket. Like I said, Barrios was kind of typical Barrios, but yeah, in my opinion, he doesn't really have that killer instinct. There are moments where Pacquiao looked like his old self, dropping those 1, 2, 3, 4s, head movement. It's always awesome to see. Manny's definitely a legend, hell of an athlete, so, you can't take it away from him. During that event, Keith Thurman calls out Jermell Charlo. Let's see that, please. Let's put it on, guys. At 154, I'm telling you right now, Jermell Charlo knocks Keith Thurman's block off. Keith was always pretty good. I don't know what happened. He took that break. He lost to Manny. He was never quite the same after that. Had that fight with Barrios. Just kind of flat after that, so come on, let's see that. I'd love to see. I don't know what happened to the Charlo brothers. They started getting to their prime. They started really doing their thing and having these mental issues, pulled out of some fights here and there, and now they're just kind of quiet in ghost mode. So huge fan. Would love to see them back in there. Let's make that happen. Misfits Boxing announces an event coming up. I didn't pay attention to the exact date. The main event is Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold, and the co-main is Tony Ferguson versus Salt Poppy. Misfits Boxing, you should be under arrest for putting Tony Ferguson on there. Darren Till versus Rockhold is interesting. I would say Till's the more scrappy guy and dynamic boxer. I think Rockhold's a little bigger, but I'm taking Darren Till in that one. Rockhold's just not a guy who likes to scrap and kind of get down. So, and then obviously, I got to take Tony Ferguson. I hope he doesn't lose to this Salt Poppy YouTube dork. Come on, man. You guys shouldn't be doing Tony like that. Salt Poppy, if you do Tony like that, then, we're going to have to run it, and I'm going to have to whip your ass, because why y'all keep doing all these legends like that, trying to take him out? Big fight announcements from the Sheik. He said one person already signed. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul signed in the blink of an eye, ready to go. Waiting to hear back from Joshua. This is a crazy one, guys. If Joshua doesn't go in there and knock Buddy out and take an easy paycheck, he's going to embarrass the boxing community. If he loses or even makes, lets Jake Paul go like the full rounds with him, come on, Anthony Joshua. Sign the fight, knock boy out, and show him that he's not quite where some people think. He's obviously not as bad as some people think either, but he's not going to be a world champion. Anthony Joshua could easily go in there and knock him out. Let's wait to see what happens. Interesting one. Now, the lawsuit's been all settled. Renato Muicano comes out on his podcast, and he said that he did not take his portion of the settlement, meaning they just split it up against other fighters. And that's pretty interesting. His take on it was that in that time, yeah, maybe they could have been paid more, but he agreed to the contract. He fought. He got paid. So why would he want more money after the fact? That's just good character. That's a solid dude, and you can't really put a price on that. A lot of people were like, it's dumb, this and that. Obviously, he has money, but he stands on his word, and that was definitely cool to see. Sean Strickland, a wild bull, man. He tags the CIA director and tells him if he does not release the Epstein files, he's going to give him a bath with soap. So that's pretty wild. The dude's an Indian, so obviously he's making like a racist joke, making him clean and stuff like that. Wild boy, man. I was like, what in the world? Now, recently, a couple days ago, Diego the Nightmare Sanchez, one of the original Ultimate Fighter Season 1 winners out here in Albuquerque, is a passenger in a vehicle, drives by the scene of an accident, and decides to just start shooting shots. Immediately, cops follow him. He tries to deny it. There's a gun in the car. The driver's like, nah, man. He started shooting and laughing. Guys, this is that CTE I'm talking about. Buddy has taken way too many L's, way too many shots to the brain, and he's out of his mind. It's really sad to see, but there's nothing you can do, guys. Just be smart about your career, manage that stuff the best you can, and get help when you need it. Conor McGregor going viral for coming out with an explicit picture of his junk. with the weight hanging onto it. I mean, I don't. If this guy just randomly decided to send that to the Azealia Banks, I mean, he's just on blowy, drunk, just out of his mind, just woo, just ripping stuff. I mean, if there was no prior, please send this or talking or anything, he just sent that. My boy, you are out of your mind. Like I said, he lives in his mind. He lives Grand Theft Auto. He's a superstar. He's a rock star. You know, it's just crazy, crazy. That is a wild, wild boy. I don't know if you guys saw the ESPYs. Shane Gillis, it was absolutely hilarious. He gets on there. He says, real quick, guys, let's shout out to one of these WNBA players. She's here in attendance. Everybody starts giving her praise, starts, getting all happy and celebrating her. And he starts laughing and goes, see, that's how I know you guys don't know WNBA. That's my friend's wife. That's not so-and-so. It was absolutely hilarious. He just wanted to prove a point. Shane Gillis is the man. That was so damn funny. What can you really say to that at that point, Now, the CEO going viral of this company, he was caught cheating at Coldplay. Obviously, that's dumb as hell, I mean, shame on you. I don't condone cheating in general. You have cheating at all. You have a family at home, this and that. If you're not happy with someone, you could just leave. But to do it at a Coldplay concert, and then it comes out like he made a statement after basically kind of getting mad at the camera guy, like, why did you put it on me? Why did you emphasize this and that? It's pretty wild. I've read some stuff that said the girl that was kind of off to the side kind of like was in on them getting caught. I've heard she knew and she was cool with it. I don't know, a ton of different stuff. But especially in that position, guys, I would never blow millions of dollars a year for any type of woman. That's crazy. Don't cheat. Do it the right way. That was just so funny. He took it. He was like, he tried to flip it. Like, how dare y'all put me on blast like that? How dare you guys spotlight me? And it was just too funny, you guys. But yeah, if you're in that position, be smarter than that, guys. Great episode today. Tons of fights over the weekend. Manny Pacquiao, Alexander Usyk, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Super, super packed weekend. Loved all the fights. Pretty good card coming up. I'm not sure if there's too many boxing cards. I should have paid a little better attention there. But thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I'm going to drop the message of the week before we get out of here. Who you are today isn't who you will be in the future. You're either elevating or growing or you're getting left behind, guys. There's no just sitting there and chilling. People are either running laps around you, doing their thing while you're declining, and you're just letting it happen, or you're choosing to rise up and do your best and move forward. But you can't just sit there, right? You're either declining or you're going forward. As simple as that. Get to it, guys. Appreciate all the support I've been getting. Daily Dose Podcast, episode 21. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you next week, guys.